So many people may or may not know that you're actually husband and wife.
Yes.
For
We have
our-
two kids.
And 2 kids, parents to 2 kids. So here we are, not only leading and managing an agency together, but actually as husband and wife. I'd love to know what qualities each of you bring to that working relationship.
Well, I'm only good for being a creative. That's all I do.
Which not only when you're a creative agency, that's pretty important.
Yeah,
So,
like that.
yeah.
It's like I do have relationships, like we said, with clients, long-term relationships built up over years of trust and stuff. But I mainly deal with the coming up with ideas, working with the teams, and making stuff. Rania does all the grown-up stuff, making sure everybody, like internally, everybody happy, working with clients, getting new business, which is the hardest job on the planet, I think, because you can't just settle for what you got. Have to be looking at the pipeline all the time. So you can't just go, hey, we're doing all right now. We can, as creators, go, oh, brilliant, we're making an ad, we're doing this, we're doing that. Ryan's worried about next year.
Well, I think like Trev's playing that a lot, because obviously we, all new business comes from doing brilliant work. At the end of the day, the work is absolutely at the heart of any growth opportunity. So, Trev's involved at every part of the process, if you like. In a way, I kind of get to come in on new business opportunities and step out, whereas Trev will be helping bring the opportunities in. He'll be winning business through brilliant creative work. He'll be getting the leads in through having made some great work or help, led the team to make great work. And then obviously he's in the pitch process. And then once the business is won, he's very much involved in developing that creative work as well. So I think he's very much downplaying it. I think Trev is absolutely end to end in helping build our brand, build the business, build the relationships. And also, you get repeat business when you do great work. So I wouldn't sort of.
It's all down to you, sweetie.
Well,
I don't do it.
just...
As she tells me, night times. You do nothing.
When we're not around, that's when
Yeah.
the work is at the heart, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
The work is at the heart, whether
Absolutely.
it's coming up with the magic or delivering the magic. It's at the heart.
I think it's so important with us, and I think there is obviously downsides to working with your partner, because you're going home with it. You like the stresses, if things are going badly, and you both feel it. There's no escape from it. But in the same way, you got the same values. You got the same kind of when we win a piece of business together, it's such a high, and you're talking to someone that understands what you're going through at all times.
Yeah, you were used to having to navigate challenges together on quite a scale, I imagine, as well already.
Yeah.
So we were talking offline, Rania, before we came in here around kind of AI and the changes that are happening. I'd love to hear around kind of what excites you, but also what worries you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're still sort of trying to understand really what the impact AI is going to have, long term on our industry, on our society. We're in many ways sort of quite excited about the kind of creative possibilities. I think if we were looking at kind of where we stand now with AI, the craft isn't there. It certainly couldn't replace a beautifully crafted piece of film, less so around the operations and systems and efficiencies and things like that. As a boutique agency, that's not really where our value is. Our value is much more in the thinking, in the big idea, in the creative execution. So thinking about it from that perspective, it has a role in every part of that process. How much we lean into it, and versus the kind of the human element, I think at the moment it's still very much an assisting tool versus kind of the vision, and in truth, we don't imagine that probably ever really changing. In the sense, for us, we're starting to see some interesting things come out, particularly within sort of generative AI, within the sort of, if we're thinking that kind of the 30-second ad or a piece of film storytelling. Also, it's only as good as the imagination of the people kind of putting the inputs, if you like. And what we're seeing is there's actually a whole team of people that are still part of that process. And actually there's a lot of technical skill and insight required, and vision, and all those things that you'd expect. So at the moment, we're not really seeing it as a replacement for any of the people within our business. We're seeing it as a change of way of working, and that actually you'd still need a lot of the kind of the skills and the talent that we have now, but just sort of applied differently. But from a creative possibilities perspective, what we are seeing is that you can do things that you couldn't ordinarily do.
And I'm sure kind of technological advancements and changes in the profession isn't new to either of you. You know, if we talk about just the last 30 years of Quiet Storm alone, I'd love to know about what lessons you think the last 30 years have taught you. I'm going to come to you first, Trevor, on this one.
Ooh. When it comes to technology, it all seems to always come back down to, like I said before, having a strong creative idea that can stimulate people and connect with people is always, it's all very well having the digital data to kind of work out what toothpaste I use and you know, and what am I interested in, and firing at me at every given point. It's soulless, and people feel intruded on and feel like this is not something that I've asked for, and you're not entertaining me in any shape or form. So it just feels another way of the world screaming at me. And I've realized you can use those data, you can use all those facts, but as long as you encase it within a good idea that entertains people and people want to see again, and it always boils down to a human want and a reason to believe and be a part.
Yeah. And grounded in a really strong insight as well. So all the same values that you'd expect in building any kind of campaign or strategy or piece of work. It's just really the potential with the output, which again, we're still sort of seeing where that's going to take us.
So if that's looking backwards, let's look forwards. What's the next goalpost? What's next for Quiet Storm?
Another 30 years. Probably not with
30
us
years.
at the helm, though. I think that was part of the reasoning behind the employee ownership, was that what we really want to see is the kind of the next sort of phase of Quiet Storm that may not, well, probably almost certainly will not include us. So I'm really excited at the prospect of kind of what's next long term for the agency, and what that might look like maybe without us one day.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting in itself when you've seen people come through just being junior creatives or technicians, and next minute they're, you know, head of production. I really enjoy I've always just been blown away with how much fun you can have in advertising. Obviously not all the time it's fun, but it's kind of something, it's full of rewards, and I think a lot of the rewards I'm getting, especially now, is through giving as well. And it sounds really corny, but it's true. You know, from create not hate to working with junior creatives who are, you know, blossoming better than I was at lots of things. It's really interesting.
Part of people's lives, careers, you know, pathing the ways, and not just for the people that have worked within Quiet Storm. Obviously, we've already spoken about all that you do to help the profession as well. So paving the way, more ways for the people behind you. Who's on your dream list of brands that you'd love to work with in the future?
You know, we talk about this every year in your sort of planning process, and actually we struggle a bit to determine a brand as such, because actually often you can be quite surprised with those what appear to be really dream brands, and you get to work with them and you go, actually you don't really have the canvas and the opportunity to really deliver that kind of impact and transformation that you'd hope, or there isn't that kind of shared creative ambition, if you like, so for us I think it's much more about people who are creatively ambitious, want to challenge the status quo, want to do work that's going to really redefine their category. So it's probably more that than it is a particular brand as such. So
yeah, I think 100% it's trying to find marketers that feel and as excited about building their brands and new ideas as we are. So I'm always really excited about especially when you're at some function or something and you meet someone and you go, she's brilliant, I'd love to work with her. And it doesn't really have anything to do with the brand itself. It's more to do with their character.
The possibilities and the potential that you see, and that you have a shared vision for that. It's
like meeting another geek talking about film. You kind of go, oh, we're on a level.
Definitely. And I think from what you've told me already today, it's the person that is ambitious, the person that wants to stretch, that wants to have creativity, wants to do great things, that is maybe ambitious themselves and has the mindset to be brave, right? Because you're going to take an idea that does stretch, that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Zoe, for instance, has got to be one of the most bravest clients I've ever been involved with. She's fearless. She will go in there and take on the whole board.
Well, she's not afraid to polarize,
Yeah.
is she? And I think often the most distinctive ideas are polarizing. And it's not necessarily about sort of offending, but it's more about you just might alienate a group of people. And I think a lot of brand marketers are kind of afraid to do that. And then so you end up in this very middle place, which is very sort of safe and familiar. And actually you end up sort of not really meaning enough to anyone, you know. So yeah, it's yeah.
The bravery to be single-minded in who is that you actually want
Yeah.
to be part of your brand, that target audience.
Yeah.
And not being afraid to sort of like, you know, shake things up. You know, like one of the reasons that she came back to us when we were working on the beach was we didn't attempt to try and produce the usual cliched advertising kind of two people with their kids on a desolate beach reading and playing like that. We understood very early doors on the beach, people don't even go to the beach. They stay around the pool, they make new friends, they got 1 week of holiday, and they cram their best life into that time, and they will live off that week away, and they'll come back with friends and all that. Like, it's very different from Adlan's version. So that's kind of like, it's she was happy for us to produce an ad that wasn't all like that.
Followed the convention.
Yeah, and she could also see that's the way to go, because I've got a massive amount of people out there that think like that, and they don't see ads talking to them. They see ads talking to, you know, Stephen Fry.
But if every client could understand one thing from you about what it's like to work with Quiet Storm, what would be your word?
I would sort of like say the word is kind of brave. And that sounds really, you know, everybody needs to put themselves in a position of, if it's done already, it's boring and nobody wants to see it again. Nobody wants to hear the same tired joke. So, but in order to try something new, it's going to feel fresh. It's going to feel completely different from anything that you've done before. So I'm not saying it's the craziest idea in the world, but there is a certain moment when you see David Bowie there, and you know, and his Ziggy Stardust, and you go, who's this guy? I'm not sure. Give me something safer. Give me something that I understand. But as soon as everybody knows it and loves it, you're fine with it.
It's got to be, it's that tension between obvious and understandable, but distinctive and ownable enough for the brand that it's not been done before.
Yeah.
And that is the tightrope that we walk. That sounds a lot more dramatic when you say it like that, but it is. You're trying to make people. You're trying to be populist, but if you try to be populist as a contradiction, you end up being boring. So you have to try and find something that feels unique.
Yeah.
What would be your word?
I'd say probably like genuinely partnership. I think you only do your best work with brilliant in a partnership, in a good partnership, and the work is only ever as good as the brand marketer that's involved in it. So, I'd say we're, you know, that's really dull, isn't it?
No,
is
a
that
really
dull?
great answer.
I think that's better than mine.
So yeah, I think there's so much you can achieve in a really good, strong. A lot of the best, obviously, clearly the best work we've done has come from trust, you know, collaboration, a sense of together, a sense of kind of faith in that relationship. So yeah,
Partnership, and bravery.
A brave partner.
A brave partner.
There you go.
Well, congratulations again on your 30th anniversary.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Really
for your
appreciate
patience
it.
talking to us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.